we're in the college town. So what we do, we change rooms out to like a lot of houses have dining room. Nobody sits in a dining room or eating, not college students.
Right.
So we turn them bad boys into bedrooms. The money is made on the door. 2017, bought my first house, $95K, which is great. And it was right by campus. It was 4 rooms and a basement. Probably shouldn't have been renting the basement, but I made it work anyway. So my payments were like $560 a month. Well, I was renting these rooms for $400. You know what I'm saying? So 4 times 5 is $2,000. So I was profiting $1,500 bucks. I was like, man, I can rinse and repeat this.
What's going on, millionaires? It's your guy Kai Speaks. We back for another episode of the $1 Million Mind Podcast. I'm in here Dolo today. We don't have Heavy House Jazz. She is working on the real estate side, y'all. I'm excited to kind of show y'all, on a different tip. We're gonna be bringing y'all some new content on what's going on the real estate side of things. But we're gonna be having a real estate conversation today. We got a very interesting guest that I'm excited to have this conversation with, and some of the key topics we're gonna be talking about in this episode is going to be like the 7-figure real estate portfolio he built, some of the obstacles that comes with that, how to build that up. So if you in here for a real estate conversation, you in the right place. We also going to be talking about travel hacks and how you can use credit cards and credit for traveling. Because I think the guest has an interesting backstory to how he even got to the journey and where he is now. So if you're interested in travel and travel hacks, it's going to be some game in here for you as well. And then lastly, how we can continue to impact the older generation, because this whole concept of debt and credit is old, but it's new at the same time. Because most of us that look like us, our parents, we wasn't having conversations around credit and debt. So, I think that's very key and very vital. But without further ado, let me introduce our guest today. We got Lee Patterson in the building. Lee, it's a pleasure having you on. Tell our listeners a little bit about your background and how you got started in credit.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for having me, first
Absolutely.
of all. It's a great day to be here. It's always a blessing to be able to sit down with somebody and share.
It's a blessing to be a blessing, man.
Yes, sir. So I tell people all the time, I'm blessed to be a blessing. A little bit about my background, man. I'm from Longview, Texas. Came to Georgia in 99 to the University of Georgia. Graduated in 2002, got my degree. Did the professional thing for a couple of years and realized, I need to go ahead and start my other professional life, which is going to last way longer than sports. So got into. I always knew I would be an entrepreneur, but I actually started out in physical therapy. Started doing physical therapy back and neck. Did that for about 9 years, and then met people along the way that was doing the entrepreneur thing and got into the restaurant business, believe it or not, which was Zaxby's and so got into Zaxby's. Made great money, man. It's my first time, being some type of owner, having some ownership in our ownership group, and just realized that Zaxby's was like the whole McDonald's story. It's about real estate. And man, when I heard that and saw that play, it just completely changed my mindset on what type of entrepreneurship I wanted to do. So it went from, doing the restaurant thing to wanting to do real estate on the housing side. That makes sense.
Got you. So once you got involved with the part ownership of the Zaxby's chain, it was more so you realized that it wasn't about owning restaurants. It was more so about real estate.
Real estate, yes, sir.
And so break that down for our listeners, because you own a restaurant. Yes, there's operations to run it. There's like owning and operating a restaurant is different than owning and operating a rental property, right?
Correct.
So how did you come to that realization that this was about real estate? What happened or what changed? What did you see?
Well, when you go into the finances, you got to buy the land.
Right.
And then you got to buy the building.
Okay.
And with any type of franchising, you got to do a franchising fee. So I think back then when we got in, I think it's about $30K. We signed a deal for about it was a lot. It was a lot. But anywho, we also took over about 12 of them in Arkansas. So anywho, the thing was that it caught my attention was, we had to buy the land, right? And then you had to buy the building. And so, in restaurant business, you don't typically make your money till after 5 years. You really don't start.
Yeah, because you're talking about buying a building, the land, the equipment.
Yeah, and so, man, I got in and you got to get your hands dirty unless you got a lot of money. I came in with more sweat equity than I did cash. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
And so I was on the road. I stayed in a hotel for about 8 months. because we had to turn over a lot of the stores that we bought that were in bad condition. You know what I'm saying? And so after just seeing how the things went, I was like, man, I think I'd rather do commercial and SL, single family residential. Now I'm just dealing with a family versus now in a restaurant, I'm dealing with vendors, I'm dealing with kids, I'm dealing with kids' parents, I'm dealing with customers.
And the franchise.
Yeah, and I'm dealing with the franchise on my back about the different things that we can and can't do.
Right.
I get into real estate, it starts and stops with me. Obviously, you got your local laws and other things of that nature, but in the restaurant business, very rewarding, but it's a tough business until you get the SOP set up and you get the right team set up. And the only way to really kind of do that either pay or you get in, you learn how the operations go. And so it was great. I got a lot out of that experience, which translated into what I obviously do now in a lot of different ways. So I left. I left the restaurant business in 2017 and haven't looked back. I haven't looked back.
Probably a lot less headache.
Depend on, restaurant's hard. The rental business is hard.
It's all hard. You got to choose your
hard. Yeah. You feel me? And so I chose my hard with being this way, and it kept me local. It kept me where I wanted to be. I can choose where the houses I buy. In the restaurant business, they assign you territories. You buy territories, or you buy wherever that store may be. And if you know it's Georgia, ain't really nothing for sale in Georgia like that, because it's kind of where it's like, this is where Zaxby started. It was kind of started in Athens, you know what I'm saying? It kind of bloomed out from there. And so there's really nothing in Georgia to buy because they all doing well. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So the farther you get away from Georgia, the tougher the brand is because of the regional reach.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
It's funny you say that about Georgia and the restaurant game, because that's one of the first things me and my wife noticed when we moved to Georgia was like how late restaurants be open. And then we used to like the typical McDonald's always having the late drive-through line. But then we was driving past Del Taco one day. And we're like, never even heard of Del Taco. We're like, why is this wrapping around the building? Same thing. Like, it's all these different restaurants. Everybody is kind of like, when you say they do well in Georgia, they definitely do well in Georgia. But I wanna stick on the topic of not necessarily the restaurant, but you had made a comment earlier that said you always knew you wanted to be an entrepreneur, right? And so I wanna identify what that means, because I feel like a lot of people say I always knew I wanted to be an entrepreneur. What did that look like for you, and how did that translate to you having the access and the abilities to be a part owner in a restaurant chain as big as Zaxby's? Like, what was happening from the time you moved to Georgia, to attend the University of Georgia, to buying into this franchise?
Let me back to my childhood. So I grew up in a family full of entrepreneurs. My grandparents sold snow cones and snow candy in front of the local middle schools and elementary schools.
Okay.
I remember that vividly. Now you can't do that. You get in trouble.
Yeah,
you need license. You need license and do all that stuff. But I grew up seeing that hustle, right? And then I grew up when we have our own soul food restaurant back in Longview, Texas, that's been in business now going on, I think, 35 years. Nice. And that was my first job, actually, too. You know what I'm saying?
And that was your grandparents or your parents owned that restaurant?
So that was a spurn off from my uncle. My uncle started, called Bell's Diner. Yeah, but it was obviously recipes that he learned from my grandparents,
right,
or my grandmother, and so that was where it was installed in me. I think the hustle part, the entrepreneurship, right? Fast forward on to moving to Georgia and moving my life, because now I can actually, I'm old enough to say now I spent more time in Georgia than I have in Texas, given that I left at 17. That it's not about what you know, it's about who you know. Right. And so when you be a part of the University of Georgia and that sports community, you meet a lot of interesting people. So I met a guy named Coach Goff, who was a former football coach at University of Georgia, and he put me on the game of the Zaxby's business. And he gave me all the ins and outs. He answered every single question. He even gave me more the personal side that most people won't tell you. And he's now one of the biggest franchisees in Zaxby's. You know what I mean?
Okay.
He has a lot whether part ownership, full ownership, or half. You know what I'm saying? Like he has the most in the Zaxby's franchise. So it was an opportunity that was presented to me that I obviously took advantage of. That's what kind of propelled me into an opportunity to be a part of a big franchisee like Zaxby's.
Okay, and so now that you are in the franchise at this point, when you said that they had a territory and you guys had to like buy, I think you said you had to kind of take over 12 other restaurants.
Yeah.
Was that like a part of the agreement? Like you couldn't just buy one and operate one?
No, so we actually bought in Texas. So that was another thing why I came in too, because there's an opportunity that I like, I might end up back home. And so we bought out in West Texas, out in the Waco area, and around the military base area. So it was a great area, and it was on down 30, which was heading towards Austin, all that area. Anywhere along the interstates, typically where restaurants want to build, right? Because traffic.
Yeah.
Right, it's all about numbers, it's all about traffic. So we had signed a licensing agreement to do that, and we also bought out another owner, which owned a lot of them in Arkansas.
Got you.
That was just poorly ran. I think Zaxby was going to force them to sell anyway, because you got a standard you have to keep up, or within the contract they will force you to
by buying you out and trying to get you out of here.
Get you to sell. Yes, sir.
Okay, now this is interesting. I think this is an interesting lesson in business too. How many in your 12 to 13 restaurants in your territory, how many part owners or co-owners did you have to work with, and what were the pros and cons that you face with owning a franchise with multiple people, and you got to make decisions with multiple people, and kind of just that ecosystem? What was the pros and cons of that experience for you?
Yeah, good question. So we all had our parts that we did. We had 2 boots on the ground, 1 finance, and 1 just kind of the brains of the operation.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
So everybody played a
so
different
4
part.
we all played our part. So it wasn't less of trying to figure out things. It's more like, all right, this is what you do. And, there's a playbook for everything. We knew the problems, and you fix them. So it's more like one of those things. It wasn't that much of an operational type deal. It's just like when if I go and buy your house, or I go buy a house that I know got value in it. Like, we knew these stores had value in them. They just needed to be, they needed a value add, AKA walls painted. We had to go in and pressure wash everything. We had to go in and fire some people. You know what I mean? We had to
turn the whole thing around.
We had to upgrade pots and pans and things that we use, just stuff like that. Just value add. Cost you on the front end, but you get it back on the other end because people are happy.
Again, like to your point, you're not going in changing like the way they do things. Maybe to a certain extent, like if you got some bad apples, like a bad manager, you might change them, but you're not changing the playbook. You just really duplicating what the restaurants that are already doing well, what they doing, and just bringing that to these other restaurants.
Yeah, which is crazy how that correlates back to real estate that I do now.
Yeah,
I just get rid of bad tenants, go in and upgrade, put ceiling fans, paint, blah blah blah, LVP, get a better tenant in. I don't even have those issues, which was the issues which a lot of these people are old landlords, was bad tenants. They either wasn't paying, or the property just didn't have any value because they wouldn't fix anything. I go in, I fix things, and I double what they were charging in rent, and I get a better tenant.
Yeah.
Same thing with the stores. We come in, we add value, and we literally turn around and sell them for a lot more money, because now we're making more money, because now people are seeing like, oh wow, this is crazy. Because I never used to get why people would take over a restaurant and put under new ownership. That means that there should be a change if you see, or if you go and visit the restaurant again. Because under new management means something was bad with the old management. So that's needed to be a key indicator to you as a client, or somebody who
like consumer
frequents that establishment, needs to know like there's a change, because people stop going places or they still go even though they don't like it, right?
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But if you go and say, hey, we making some changes, now it's more inviting, so now it gives a little bit more to kind of go and figure out.
So you saying they should put under new management instead of under new ownership, or are you saying
it doesn't matter? They need to know it's a change.
They need to know. So just announcing the change period,
right? Because they should see. Also kind of see. They might see some new shrubbery. You should see that it's a little cleaner. You need to see something.
Yeah.
You know, you might throw a balloon out there or something like almost like a pre-grand,
another launch.
That's why you see another re-grand opening or a new grand opening or something like that. You know, I used to think that's weird, but it's just say, hey, come try us again. There's something different.
Yeah.
Hopefully when you go in, you can see the difference. It's worse when you can't, but obviously you should be able to see it right away.
I can relate to that because that's advice that I give to a lot of the clients that I work with when it comes to like launching and relaunching like their podcast or their shows. It's like you got people who will do a podcast and then they'll launch to have like 1, 2, 3 seasons under their belt and then it's not growing. What you need to do is a relaunch. And it's to your point, is like you don't just relaunch, you change up some things. You might change the brand colors, you get a new logo, you do something different that's going to like kind of like re-invite people, you know, to the platform and stuff like that. So that's an interesting lesson. Now, from that experience, you knew you wanted to make the transition into real estate. It's so many ways to get into real estate, right? So from your experiences, which strategy or which lane in the real estate did that lead you into? Was it commercial?
I hadn't even thought about that, but so my teammate, we would go run every day, and I was like, man, you killing it. You know what I'm saying? Right. Like, how did you do it? How did you start? He's like, yeah, I interned. You know, I was a property manager for a big firm there in Athens, and then he was like, I used to fly to these different spots to see what they were doing. They were doing college housing. But he didn't jump right into that part. He went and bought a portfolio. He bought it for like 1.2 million. I think he bought it for 800, but got a loan for 1.2, took 400K and renovated all 8 houses that he bought. Right? And so we're in the college town. So what we do, we change rooms out to like a lot of houses have dining room. Nobody sits in a dining room or eating, not college students.
Right.
So we turn them bad boys into bedrooms. You know what I'm saying? Because we rent by the door.
Gotcha.
So he was just walking me through how he was doing stuff. And I was like, the money is made on the door. You know, a lot of people are like, yeah, I got 8 houses. I don't look at it, I got 8 houses. I look at how many doors in those 8 houses. So I can have
16 doors
in 8 houses. You feel me? Because I'm getting paid off each one of those doors because these are college students which are on individual leases.
Right.
And so that's the play that I was running. I was like, oh yeah, I can do that hustle. Yeah. So 2017, bought my first house, 95K, which is great. And it was right by campus. It was 4 rooms and a basement. Probably shouldn't have been renting the basement, but I made it work anyway. You know what I mean? And rented it.
Charge a little less.
Charge a little less. But people are always looking for a room, especially college students. You'd be amazed what a college student stay in. I mean, you went to college, you know.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
The dorms is like basements.
It's
cinder
like
block walls, you know.
Correct.
What I'm saying? One window, you know, if that.
So my payments were like $560 a month, escrowed in with the taxes, and insurance maybe $650. Well, I was renting these rooms for $400. You know what I'm saying? So 4 times 5 is $2,000. So I was profiting $1,500. I was like, man, I can rinse and repeat this over and over.
With that $1,500, you could get a whole nother one.
Correct.
It'd still be up.
And so at this time, I actually was still working. I was still traveling with Zaxby's and whatnot. But again, this was kind of running itself. No big deal. This is what led me to credit, because I ran out of money. And I was like, okay. So I actually hadn't ran out of money yet. I had another project. I had another 4 unit that I had saw. Because a lot of people wonder how I found my properties. I found most of my properties running. I don't know if you're familiar with driving for dollars, where people drive and look for this houses that are kind of
and then you going on your runs.
I'm running and I'm seeing them. So I would go back home and skip trace them, and look the address up and the owner and look for them and call them. And that's how I got a majority of mine. And so I saw this fourplex. And this fourplex, the lady sold it to me. They were 1-1s, and they were renting for $400 a month. Sold them to me for $127. I actually have them on the contract now for $450. Okay, and so anywho, this is the first one that I actually. So I got my first house under my name, right? I didn't have to bring any money because Regions was having a program. That's a whole nother thing I could get into.
Regions, the bank.
Regions Bank. They got great initiatives for first time home buyers, and so I use it as a first time home buyer, but I didn't use it as my a regular home. So anywho, I saved up money to get this fourplex, but you can't, obviously with a fourplex, you now go into the business side of it. And so I had to learn how to structure a business. And what came with it was, all right, hey, First American Bank, this is where I got my first loan. Hey, what do y'all need from me? What does this look like? I need your LLC, your formation. We need all these things that I had, but I had to find it and I had to figure out how to put the thing together. And then I need to know how much are y'all going to give me? I had to bring 20% down. So that first project was $127K. I had to bring like $19,000, the most money I'd ever bought. The biggest check that I ever bought. I had to wait to do the closing when I got my last check just to have enough. I mean, I was broke. You know what I mean? But right. I knew, but I had a vision. I knew,
and you had a lot of assets, so it's like you really had like all your money was just tied up in your assets.
Tied up in my assets, right. Which I knew that I could borrow against later.
Got you.
So that's another play. You know what I'm saying? So I got paid that Friday, and you wire money over. Actually, you bring a check back then. I wrote this check. I never forget. Like, whew. There you go. And that's how I got there. But I also knew that it was under rented, number one. Man, I had to go in. I had to evict every single person in there. I didn't even get everybody out before the police kicked the window in. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so they got to replace the window.
Did a raid. Then I was like, y'all gonna fix that? No. They're like, no. You
wanted to get it evicted? Well, that's how we do it.
No, this wasn't even from eviction. This is just from them doing it undercover. Oh. Because I was like, I'd have gave y'all the key. Y'all didn't have to kick the door. And I'm like, I'd have gave y'all the key. And so they laughed. Yeah. And they was like, you better be glad we didn't throw, tear gas in it. And I was like, wow. So anywho, I get them all out, put some, I didn't have no money because I just spent it all. So now I'm stacking my paper, and that's when I got the call from one of my mentors that I had first started learning how to do travel hacks for him. And he was just checking in. Again, we're always evolving, right? Because if you don't evolve, you evaporate. That's one thing I've always learned. You always got to be evolved. So he ain't involved from credit hacks or travel hacks to credit funding. And so his call to me was, hey, Lee, what are some of your biggest struggles right now in business? It's like, man, I'm out of money. I need some money. Because, when you first get started, people don't loan you money like that. They do, but you still got to bring 20%.
Yeah. Still
right?
Bring some,
yeah. And so he's like, well, what if I can show you how to fund yourself 0% with credit cards? I'm like, well, that's the play. I said, you worth the price of admission. Whatever you charge, you got it. Because I know what I'm gonna do with the money, and I'll get that back. No big deal. Because if anything I understood the most was you make your money when you buy real estate. People think you make your money later. No, you make it when you buy. Because you run your numbers. The numbers never lie, And so, and I always bought never to sell. I sell now because we never seen times like this, right? You know how much real estate costs right now.
And that's what I want. We might be able to get into that.
Right. So
the inflation is crazy.
Yeah. So I'm 3Xing on everything as far as value right now, and appraisal. And so, that's where I was at with everything. And we ran a play. And I actually taught them how to use a credit card to buy real estate. Because he was just showing me how to get money and pull cash off a credit card.
So you can just have the cash.
So he was showing me a play, and my mind was somewhere else, and I ran another play, and they was like, you did what? And I was like, I thought this is what y'all were trying to show me. He like,
no, we were just trying to help you get some money.
Yeah, they were just like, yo, just, hey, go to you. You got a legit business who run my credit card for $20K. Charge me what you want to charge me, but I need that $20K. So you might charge me 3%. 3% of $20K is what, about $600, six, whatever.
Gotcha. Okay, so the plays was more so
to pull cash off a credit card, so I can pull it off at 0%. So the credit card ain't gonna charge
instead of just doing a cash advance.
But you will make some money. Cash advance will kill you. You never do that. I don't know why people still do that. We will never do a cash advance. That's like forbidden.
Because it's fees associated with it.
Oh man, it's like the highest fees you ever pay in your life. You know what I mean?
Do a cash advance.
I mean, look at your credit card and try it.
Right,
you know
right.
what I mean?
When instead you can just pay a business, you get the cash back.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And so I didn't even run that place. I used a third party. I used plastic. You know what I'm saying? So I went to on plastic. Plastic can send check, money order, or I mean a money order, but a certified check, or they can wire. I was like, what? Wire? So the play was, I get a 0% credit card. They give me $50K, and this was back when houses were super cheap. Yeah. I was buying the whole house.
Yeah, I was about to say now.
Now
you're gonna need a few credit cards.
Now, yeah. So now I do the 20% down. So like I got 2 houses on the contract. I close on Tuesday. I just sent the wire through yesterday, and I used the credit card. So the play is, I send a wire 0%. Not only am I getting the free money, I'm getting also the reward points.
I'm about to say, you're probably using it, and then they probably even got an introductory period. Man, Some of them even get you cash back.
I go on a trip every year for free, bro.
Man.
I'm going to Japan next month.
Wow.
And so I'm using my Delta AMX. I'm going to upgrade because again, I'm running a play through this credit card. I'm diamond. It ain't from flying. It's from just using my card as everyday expenses to just do what we all do. You know, I know you had a lot of credit guys on here, but we don't use our debit card. Why? There's not one reason to use your debit card.
Yeah. Do you even have a debit card?
I do, just because if I do need to go pull cash out, like my cash, if I needed to. Just say if I just got somebody that,
like spending money or something, whatever,
yeah,
tips and stuff,
something like that.
I got you.
But or you just never know. Because now I can even use my phone. You don't need it. Because all I'm doing is using the money that's in the account to pay the credit card off. That's it. So that's why we don't need a debit card, and the debit card don't protect you from anything.
It don't.
You feel me?
I always tell people, like, especially when it comes to traveling, when you buy plane tickets on the debit card, if it get canceled, they how they ask you if you want trip insurance. I heard that you really don't need trip insurance if you purchasing these things off of a credit card.
Correct.
Because if something happened, you're gonna get it back off the credit card anyway.
Yeah.
Okay. So all right, I feel like I need you to go back a little bit on this play when your man's put you on with the credit card, and you kind of even turned it into a whole nother play.
Yeah.
But the experience is when people go into business, they assume that when you go into business, that's when you start making money. But here you are sharing with us, like you was co-owner in a Zaxby and multiple Zaxby restaurants. You had at this point it sounded like 4 to 8 doors. You had a house or 2 houses or something like that. So you got the cash flow coming in from that. You got some other little side business that I'm sure you running, but you was still not having the cash you needed to be able to run more plays that you want.
Because there's just so much to buy.
Yeah, okay.
That's why I tell people, you gotta have an abundance mindset. You know, I tell people, I don't know where you at as a believer, man. I be
so you still had it to where you didn't have to worry about where your daily expenses was coming from.
And that's why I tell people, don't quit your 9 to 5 till use your 9 to 5 to get you to the retirement.
Got you.
You feel me? Like, I did not just quit my 9 to 5. Because they put too much pressure on you to.
Because now you got to figure out everything.
You got to figure out everything.
Yeah, okay.
So you have to keep the 9 to 5. You know when it's time. You know when it's time to walk away. Because it makes sense, right?
Yeah.
But you also know when it ain't time. People just walk away because, oh, yeah, I'm making extra money. Bro, you don't know when that water heater going to break. Yeah, I was clearing $1,500 a month, but you know how much a water heater costs? You know how much that HVAC costs? You know how much the roof costs? So these are things like that having a mentor taught me. So I tell people, like, how you learn most of this? Well, at the beginning, it was running with my buddy 7 miles dying. All right, what else?
And so that was your mentor.
That was my mentor. Got you. And he didn't look at it that way, but man, I was drilling him with the questions, man. We could have had a podcast, you know, just for my runs, you know. And it's funny because all he does is all I do is listen to podcasts on college housing. So he could tell you everything about college housing. He was giving me the play just based on where he came in. It wasn't even about the housing part of colleges. He was just like, yo, this is what we did when we started, how we did it, how we just pulled our sleeves up. We did all the work, you know, and I saw it. But now I was kind of getting in the behind the scenes. And the same thing with him. we would run past all his property. It was just, he didn't even realize it was just fueling me, man. It was fueling me. And now I can run past all my houses in Athens.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I don't go by them no more just because it's like my mindset has grown past those.
Yeah, now you on a different place.
Yeah, now I'm literally following him. Now I'm on to more multi-family, you know, sixplex. I bought a sixplex last year. Now I'm looking at bigger complexes here in Atlanta.
So now you're running in a different area?
Right. Yeah, you feel me? And so that was the play. But did I answer your question that you asked me about with the credit play that I was running?
Yeah, so back that up for us and re-explain it to our folks on how you've essentially used the credit cards to free up some extra capital for you, because it sounds like all your money is tied up in your assets, and then the 9-to-5 money is used to pay your bills. And
so
everything
you hear
like
the whole buy real estate with no money, none of your money, right? You always hear that, but nobody tells you how.
Yeah, they always say use other people's money to buy real estate.
You always use other people's money. Well, what money?
But the banks is other people's money too. So.
What money? Who money?
Yeah.
So the play is, again, I just told you, bank usually pays 75 to 80% of the value of the home or whatever you have it on the contract for.
Right.
Other 20% is you bring, because you got to have skin in the game.
Right. Unless it's like FHA where you got the
But
you talking about conventional, regular.
Yeah, but you gonna do that one time.
Got you.
Right? Because that's for your personal house.
Got you.
Right?
You're talking about for business.
Yeah, I'm talking about strictly business. Because if you're gonna turn it into a business, right? If you're gonna be a business, you gotta act like a business. So a lot of people mess up because they want to do this part time. You can, but
yeah, and they want to do it as a business and then they call it a business, but you literally only got an LLC.
Correct.
And that's it. And then all of a sudden you're trying to operate like a business.
I didn't even have that. I didn't even do that part right. That's why I said, if I can do it, anybody can do it. Man, I had all this stuff in my, my house was in 4 different names. It was in Lee Patterson, Lee A. Patterson, Lee A. Patterson the second, because I'm the second. Mm-hmm. Man, when I got ready to transfer to the LLC, the lawyer looked at me like, hey, you just... Yeah, all kind of aliases out here. And I was like, I didn't.
You was able to do that?
Huh?
How was you able to get away with that?
It's still my name. You can put anything.
Right,
you can put it however you want to.
Yeah, got you.
But you don't want it that way because you're not protected. Because your LLC is to protect you.
Yeah.
I wasn't protected. If I got sued and they sued Lee Patterson, they take everything. They have to sue the LLC to try to get anything. Now I done fixed that because now I done put everything in a trust. That's a whole different.
We're gonna have to get you back because it's been a minute since we had the trust conversation.
Yeah. So I take free money, 20%, real quick, 20. Take that money. Banks gives me the other 80%. That's how you use none of your money. All right. Now, if you do the math right, and I'll just do this for illustration purposes, $100,000 house back then at 6%. And that was high back then because I got them for 3%, 3.5%. It was cheaper back then. So then I remember I told you it started at like $500, right? Well, if I'm renting it for $2,000, I'm getting $15,000. Guess who's paying the credit card off? The rest of that money. So see how none of that all that money being paid back by the tenant. Tenant is paying the mortgage, which was $500, $560, and then my credit card. If I had to get $20K from $100,000, $20K on a credit card it's free. It's free. It's 0%.
0% for like 18 months, 12 months, right?
Correct.
But then like,
but I still got to pay something. You got to pay the minimum.
You got to pay the minimum.
Is like, bro, like $200.
But you got multiple tenants that kind of add to that minimum.
That's paying it. So again, it's none of my money.
Were you trying to pay this? Were you trying to pay that off before the introductory period?
So that's.
Or you cool with the interest?
So that's the beauty of it. And so I actually just dropped that play on my IG. So you can transfer this thing up to 3 times. You can literally get 30 months.
Oh, you just go transfer the balance.
Transfer the balance
to another card.
To another card.
So 18 months, month 17. Oh, we still got a balance of like 6,000. Let me go.
I literally can't believe people don't pay to learn this stuff, because you get the money back. You either gonna pay to learn, or you gonna pay to make the mistake.
Yeah,
you choose.
Yeah,
and I don't know about you, but I don't want to make the mistake because the mistake takes time, and you make the mistake. You go ahead and pay somebody, you skip the mistake, and you don't waste the time. You feel me? So it's just like you run the play where you keep transferring, it's still free money, and you're never coming out of pocket. You know what I'm saying? And then now they got it too. Is my 2 favorite cars are Chase and Amex, man. You can argue with your mama, but those are the 2 best cars out there. Because with Chase, And I just put this play on there too. You can combine your limits, or you can move limits. So you get 50 on one, 70, 100 on another card. You can call in and say, hey, I want to move my credit limit and line over to X card, which you typically want to move it over to the card that's at 0%. Again, free money.
Yeah. You were just recycling free money.
Man, that's all we do. So if you're not taking advantage, I don't make the rule. That's one thing I learned. Nobody's coming to save us.
And it's like, bro, I don't know if it's how you saying it or what, but you the first person to kind of break that down to me where this is the first time where that's fully made sense to me. Like I hear guys say like 0% and it's free money, yada, yada, yada. But the way it's like, still, I'm like, okay, like it makes sense here, but how do you?
Because they want you to pay them.
right, good, yeah. No, that makes a lot of sense though. So, all right, this is because I've been doing some research preparing for this conversation, and you keep even mentioning and bringing it up how things have changed now. Because this we talking about, plays that's been made 5, 6, 7 years ago when interest rates were lowered, the cost of living was lower, the housing market was lower, and now even the banks has changed. Like the banks is adjusting, where literally the percentage of banks have been tightening up their standards for how they lend to businesses and individuals from 20% in 2022 to 45% just in the first quarter of this year. So when you listen to stats like that, how banks are literally making it more difficult to borrow, I want to know what's changed for you now. Outside of now, it seems like you're looking at a different strategy, entrance strategy for real estate. But like, what's going to be changing for you now that inflation is higher, the housing market is higher? For how you. Well,
you remember what I said? The numbers are the numbers.
You
make your money when you buy, and remember the bank's doing their homework too. They gonna go evaluate the asset, right? Because they on the hook for it. Because that's what they're gonna use to get their money back if you can't pay them. So for me, regardless of what the interest rates go up to, I'm running numbers. I know what I can rent it for, and I know what the bank's gonna limit the money for. So if I know my numbers, right? If I know how much I'm renting for, and I know how much the mortgage is gonna be, as long as I'm making money, I ain't tripping, right? Because we don't ask how much it costs; we ask how much it'll make us in the very end,
right?
And I still own the asset. At the very least, when you buy, you have to ask yourself: if I sell right now, will I make my money back?
Right.
If you can't say that, you don't get any great ideas. A guy once told me you can't make chicken salad out of chicken. You know what I'm saying? And so I always thought about that, man, because we get great ideas and we start wanting to bro, the house right there is by the stadium. It's by Mercedes-Benz, bro. And you're like, yeah, but they want $9 million for it.
Right.
Who can pay that kind of rent?
Right.
But it's by the hey, man.
So location ain't always good.
It's numbers.
Numbers don't lie.
Numbers don't lie.
Right.
Numbers don't lie.
That's what they mean by that.
That's what they mean.
Numbers don't lie.
Because if you don't remember anything else, don't be emotional. Don't make emotional purchases. Right? That's how car salesmen play off of you. This is why people are overpaying for houses, because it's emotional. Oh, I love that house. Why you think they put the bells and whistles in them? Why you think they actually outfit the house with fake furniture? Because they want you to imagine yourself in it. Just like when you go to car dealership, hey, sit down. Feel it? Can't you feel your hair blowing in it right now and it's convertible? You ain't going nowhere yet. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
God forbid they get you out there in the parking lot. Then you realize, I got to have this thing. Emotional purchase. I'm a big believer over assets over liabilities. My team will tell you. I told my team, if you don't learn nothing else before you leave me, you're going to learn how to run faster and you're going to learn assets over liabilities. They know what it means.
Yeah.
And I don't even talk about that because they just see my shirt and they read it. You know what I'm saying? Or they follow me on Instagram. They realize which is kind of cool. You know what I'm saying? Because it's almost like religion. Like I don't bring religion to work. I don't bring work to my coaching. But if they ask, I tell them. You know what I mean? Because they engage them and it's not something I'm pushing on them. And I know why I'm there. Yeah. I'm not there to push what I do. And I'm not there to push my religion. It may come out, but it's not like, all right, I'm here today. And this is what no, I'm here to teach you how to run.
Right.
You know, it'd be like you coming here and we doing a podcast, but you want to talk about raising dogs or something. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
Total different subject.
Yeah.
You know, but so yeah, man, like this is what brought me to the point where I love being on podcasts and talking and sharing my story, because it's like I can't keep this stuff to myself. I feel like I'm doing our community a disservice.
Yeah.
Regardless if I make a dime or not.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And when you share like that, it always come back tenfold anyway.
Always, man.
It always come back tenfold. And so when it comes to real estate, you know, what your experience is, you said that the numbers just matter, and location doesn't matter over the numbers. What about the timing? Like, you got a lot of people scared because we think we're about to get into this next recession. Like, how do recessions truly affect investors?
It don't. That's when we make the most money. I hope we go into a recession, cause now I'm buying everything on sale. This is why we're selling right now. Remember what I told you? Mm-hmm. Have you ever seen? I mean, you old enough to know. Have you ever seen a market this great for housing? No. Mm-mm. But you also been alive long enough to see what happened in 2008, didn't you? Mm-hmm. You know how many people got rich in 2008?
A lot.
I got rich during the pandemic. Mm-hmm. I was doing fine, but I really got rich during the pandemic. I literally humbly say I became a millionaire during the pandemic, and I didn't do a thing. It's because of the assets I was able to acquire and I was able to get, because I wasn't acting in fear. Then when we started buying,
because everything is people selling,
everything was cheap.
Yeah.
So you ask how it affects me. You know, it doesn't, in the sense that you got to be more careful. You know what I'm saying? You got to review deals a little bit deeper. You got to think worst case scenario, best case scenario. But we also know that real estate has never failed. Right? People got to have a place to stay. Mm-hmm. You know, where people are kind of messing up is when you overpay. Remember, I told you, when you make your money when you buy. So if you can't make the money, or you don't see the money when you buy, then you probably are in a bad deal. So all these people who bought these overpriced houses, or they bought them on a balloon, and this balloon is about to pop because of 5 years, it's a refi, and you see the interest rates are going up. It went down a little bit, but they're still way higher than when people who just refinanced for 2.5%, 3% in 2021, 2020. You know, like, it's a big difference, bro. It's a big difference, especially at the prices that they paying for the houses.
Got you. So another recession can even off, like, that's when you're going to see those lower rates. You think?
Man, that's a whole different can of worms, bro. Because that's a whole government thing.
Got you.
I'll say interest rates are raised and lowered to help combat inflation. So at some point, but the way we're going is so bad right now. This is why they think everything's about to blow up. Yeah,
and because, like, I'm even seeing, like, so I got 3 different numbers. I got the U.S. home price increase, which increased 4.6% annually from 2012 to 2024. Then on the flip side, you got the rent increase annually 3.5% from 2015 to 2024.
I know where you're going with this.
Then inflation, it says, is 1.8% annually from 2012 to 2024. So when I'm breaking those numbers down, the story that it paints for me, and you tell me what story it paints for you, is you got a choice to make between real estate or continue to, you know, be a consumer, like renting and stuff like that. Because if you think about getting hit with that 4%, that 4.6% increase in the housing market, and you look at the inflation, people gonna look at it, okay, I got this, and then I got inflation. They're looking at about like 6% to 7% increase in the amount of money I gotta cough up. But when you look at the potential of rent being at a 3.5% increase, it kind of bring it down, where if you buy real estate with the intentions of becoming a landlord and renting. So to me, I think the renting even bring down the increase in the housing market. If you are an investor, like, you got the 4.6%, you got the 3.5%, you subtract it. It's like,
it's almost like a case by case. But I also say, I rent. You know why I rent? Because I can write it off. I mean, it's so many.
I just that went over my head. So you personally rent.
Yeah, I write all that off. Then why you think a lot of people get high rises and fancy places at downtown Atlanta and Miami? Because they have a business, you can write it off. It's $5,000 a month. That's $60,000 a year. Guess what? I'd rather stay nice and get to kind of live off of that in some kind of way and give it back to Uncle Sam.
But you can't write it off if like it's still your resident. Mm-hmm. So like, because I currently rent too, and I think it was like they go based off of the square footage that you use for your business,
Correct.
right?
Yeah.
You can't do that similarly if you own the home. Like if I was running my business out of my home.
You can. There are stipulations. So it all comes down to it. This is the part where you say check with your accountant, but your accountant will tell you exactly what you need to do. Exactly what you do. But a lot of people don't even get to that part because they just don't ask. It's like one of those things. People not gonna tell you unless you ask. Mm-hmm. You feel me? I ask everything. Because I understand that we did not make these laws. And me and you, well, we can vote. What the chance of me and your vote getting that law changed is we don't know.
Right.
So with that being said, it's just like, all right, I'm gonna learn the game and I'm gonna play it, and I'm gonna play it as just the best I can, right? Mm-hmm. A lot of people get mad at Trump because of the way he does things. Well, guess what? He wasn't the president. He wasn't making these laws back when he was taking advantage of them. So he just had people in place that was telling him that's what you need to do.
Right.
With the whole filing for bankruptcy.
He was playing the game. Right.
Yes, sir.
It was one thing that he shared that I was like, damn, he could have kept that to himself. But he shared that. I think he shared this on Joe Budden podcast with the whole turning your estate into a cemetery.
Cemetery, yeah.
Right? And you think about it, like, we've been so wired to like thinking, oh, it's bad. Like, oh, if your family member passed, we don't want them on our property. That's spooky, weird. It's spooky. It's scary, right? But it makes so much sense. Not just like, I'm not trying to make it transactional, but if you got a big enough property, it makes sense to keep your family on the estate.
And if the law gonna literally let you keep your money, ain't that the name of the game?
Right.
Yeah.
So you get to keep your loved ones close by. You turn it into a family estate. That family estate turned into a cemetery, and then boom, you don't got to pay property taxes essentially on it, right? It's something wrong with what he said, but just him sharing that, I feel like I was appreciative of him just sharing the game because you got so many people that's doing it, not sharing this. Some people who don't even know it, and even still got family members that they buried in it, and they don't even know.
This is why I'm a strong believer in paying for information.
Yeah,
paying for information. Again, like I told you, nobody is coming to save us. A millionaire or changing the family dynamics starts with one risk taker, right? Mm-hmm. And if we didn't come from a rich family must come from us.
Yeah, come from us.
And a lot of people look at my lifestyle. I drive a 2008 Honda. I live in a small house, but guess what? My money goes back to the community, goes back to a lot of organizations that I support, and I take care of my family, right? My mother's house is paid it off, bought my brother a house, paid my mother's car off. Those is the type of thing, and I travel the world. Those are my flexes. Like, it's funny, I talk with a lot of influencers, and it's like, man, you should do this and you should do that. Because of the information the knowledge which is why I got into digital products. And I also realized, but I don't live a flashy lifestyle. I said, I've been giving game away for a long time. But then I also know that if I just showed up in a Lamborghini and put that thing on my page, people are gonna instant sales.
And this is where I like to challenge those influencers, right? Because it's all about your audience too. Mm-hmm. Different platforms is for different folks, right? So like, I'm learning that's what the Instagram crowd want to see. But if you were to take that same content and put it on Facebook, put it on LinkedIn,
the older people,
it's gonna go crazy.
Yeah.
Because they don't care about they care about the information.
Yes, sir.
They don't care about that other stuff. So like that's what I would challenge them with, and is just say it really don't even. If you're trying to get a bunch of likes and you're trying to get Instagram famous, that's important. But if you're just trying to convert and get clients, you just got to go to wherever your audience is going to be. And depending on who that is you got 5, 6, so many platforms you can take the information. I want to transition a little bit because I do want to have enough time to talk about, when you said you were doing the travel hacks.
Yeah.
I want to go into that because correct me if I'm wrong. Yesterday, I feel like when we were having our conversation off tape, it was more so that was what got you into like the credit, like learning the travel hacks. That's that's kind of what kind of got you into the credit. Talk about that journey, and how you got into the travel hacks and how that even transitioned.
Well, everybody want to travel, right?
And we all want to travel.
And so I was young, and I was like, well, what's the best way to travel if I ain't got a lot of money? And of course, a lot of the travel hacks were just like, again, it's information that is readily out there. And so I preference everything that I teach with people is always do your research. Because information is forever changing, forever evolving. The play I'm sharing with you today could change tomorrow, which it typically does with credit cards. It just becomes a different credit card. You just got to figure out which one it is. Sometimes they change whatever they pull, which credit bureau they pull from. So we use Reddit a lot because it's it's a platform where people talk about stuff and you can type in a question, they'll answer. So there's really no guessing game to a lot of this. It's just how deep do you want to go with it. So I dove into the credit hacking. The travel hacking to see, because I'm not from here. I want to get home. What's the cheapest way to get to Texas? How can I get to Texas? And that's when credit cards came in, and he told me like, yo, you just do this, and then I can show you how to run the play. Because y'all like, man, I gotta spend $2,000 to get 50,000 points. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, man, just write your rent on it. You can do your rent. You can do that. You can write your car note. You can do anything. And so that's another thing. Like a lot of people don't realize that's why we don't use our debit card. People are like, well, I just have all that just debited from my account. I'm like, well, you do know you can. There's another way to do it. So you can build your business profile and you can get points. And so I started learning all the different alliances with flying. I started learning how to. So now it's like getting global entry, getting TSA, getting clear, getting all that stuff for free, getting access to lounges, get how to convert points. So a lot of the travel hacking is using point guys and using credit. A lot of these platforms that show you which points convert the best to fly different places.
Oh, got you. So there are platforms that, like you said, point guys and
what's the other one called? Credit doctors.
Okay.
So these platforms, they'll tell you which credit cards are the best credit cards. It's so much information out there. This is why I always say, just do your research. And then now with Google, you just say, all right, what's the best site to teach me how to convert my Amex points over to get the best travel? Literally, it'll show you. So even though it seems like these are such big secrets that I'm sharing, they're readily available on the internet.
I think, and I hear what you're saying, and I'm gonna take a moment to play devil's advocate because I have been in the position sometimes where it may not be about credit, or it may be about something else, where you'll go looking for the information, and depending on which platform you're looking for it on, it's so easy now to get analysis paralysis because it's so many sources, and it will be like slightly different information on each source. So now you're trying to figure out and analyze, well, which one I still ain't get the answer I'm looking for. And I just spent 3 hours, looking for the answer, and I still didn't get the answer I'm looking for.
Which I guess probably why a lot of people
just pay for the information.
Yeah. That's be why I'll be like, well, that's why they say, you got the DIY, do it yourself, or you got we do it for you. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Pay to play.
Pay to play.
Right. I think I'm more so the pay to play because
me too. Because my time is always worth. I'm to the point now. I pay not to do things.
Yeah. You know, and that I think credit empower more people even to do something like that. Because I think the biggest reason why most people don't pay to play is because they thinking they got to pay with their own funds. And the last thing we want to do is pay $5,000 for some information when you got $6,000 in your savings account. And I mean, shit, 46% of us don't even got that.
But check this out. What are your two biggest expenses in life? Do you know what those are?
Rent and food.
Taxes and interest.
Oh, you're right. Because the money you don't,
money
you don't see,
you're gonna always be paying taxes, bro.
You're
gonna always see. These are the unseen things that people don't understand. So if I just told you that credit is gonna give you the best interest rates, why wouldn't you get it right?
Yeah,
I got, you know how many people I know, like, I got this car, man. They gave me this car, and then and I go, let me see your credit report. Man, that car people done ran their credit 9 times.
Bro, why
and then they knew it was bad, but they think they won because they drove off with the car, not knowing that it's at 23%, and they done paid for they gonna end up paying for the car 4 or 5 times over.
Yeah,
you know, and so then when, like I told you, with interest being your biggest expense, then why not learn how to do it? And then taxes. You a business owner. Do I need to explain that? You know, if I'm telling you by owning an LLC, you can lower your taxes, why wouldn't you do that? I mean, the government has structured LLCs to get the biggest tax breaks. Why? Because we hire people. When we hire people, that means there's more people for them to tax.
So let me ask you this: that person that got that Dodge Charger. You know, with a $1,200 note,
liability. But go ahead.
But I know, definitely liability. But it's because of the credit, so they got hit over the head with interest. But at the end of the day, to pay it in full is like $46,000 or $56,000. Getting a credit card and paying can't you essentially just get a credit card, 2 credit cards, and just pay that off?
Easy. I bought cars, I bought houses, bought everything with a credit card, man. I mean, I can show you a wire I just sent for $80K. You can do anything in credit card, man. Anything. Anything.
So there's no rule saying like you can't go into that. So
there's a few because you gotta have documentation. Gotta have documentation on some things, especially if you're using a third party, because they gotta protect themselves too. Like, so for instance, when I use the play with the real estate, I gotta send the HUD over. They're not gonna just wire that money over to the attorney, but the attorney's name is on my HUD. So when they see the documentation, they send the money. No, they don't ask any questions. Just documentation, just CYA, you know? And so, yes, yeah, literally. I would rather use my credit card for 0% for 15 months. Man, they give you up to they give you $30,000 on the first play. And with Chase, I just told you we could take the total and combine.
Now, are these all business credit cards?
We do everything in business.
That's why, okay, because the utilization.
Hey, so no, don't get me wrong. If I'm building your profile out, we need to get 3 to 4 credit cards in your personal.
Right.
Because everything's dictated from your personal.
Right.
And the next biggest thing that people don't understand is why you want to run the play in your business name is because it does not report to your personal.
Right.
Right.
So you can always get more.
We
because
run the
your
play.
Personal is just clean.
I get 2 to 3 credit cards every 6 months. Why? Because inquiries, they stay on your credit report, but they don't affect you after 6 months. So this is why we just keep running the play over and over and over.
And then, if you're getting 3 to 6, you can put 2 of them on one credit bureau.
Man, look, I keep a stack, man.
Card.
You know what I'm saying? Because I understand the power of these. You are rewarded. I'm convinced, and you probably won't argue with me, but I'm convinced the world and this society is rewarded to those that are responsible. There's a lot of irresponsible people out here. I know sometimes they do feel like they are rewarding irresponsible people, but
it's short-lived.
Short-lived.
And then even if it's longer lived, boy, that fall off gonna be crazy. It's like the hard that they say the bigger you are, the harder you fall.
Oh, yeah. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
That's
the lesson that I'm seeing happen. It's like, okay, we looking at them, we're like, oh, how they keep getting rewarded, but boy, do they get hit hard when it's their time.
That's why I say you do it right the first time, do it correct the first time. You don't have to come back, which also sometimes means pay somebody to show you how to do this stuff, man. yet to regret any investment in myself or any investment into a mentor.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that I didn't, I wasn't mad about a couple of things, but you just never regret investing in yourself. And it's a tax write-off.
Well, it's so funny you pulling out the wallet with the stack of credit cards because, maybe 10, 15 years ago, remember the flex was the stack of cash.
Yeah.
But like you think about it, a stack of credit cards this thick.
It can be quadruple that stack. Huh?
Yeah, exactly. That's why I'm laughing. So it's like we in a whole nother game now.
It's moving rapidly beyond cash. Cash is trash, man. And I've been cash is trash. They say cash. People say cash is king.
Yeah,
but it's not, because of the if you understand the value of the dollar is depleting by the day. This is why I don't keep money in my account.
Yeah.
I mean, I keep a little bit
for emergencies, but you got 5,000 in the savings account. But
there's not much that I can't use my credit card for. Again, I'm using bank money. Let y'all keep it and let it depreciate in there. That's why they loan your money out, because they know your money is depreciating, right? So I always, people they don't quite understand. I'm like, cash is trash. We gave out, I forgot what the number was, but during COVID, I think like 60%, 65% of money ever in circulation was printed then, which means the dollar is losing its value. I mean, we went off the gold standard in the 70s with Nixon, but that's a whole different story.
So you went through a lot of underwriting processes,
With what?
I'm just saying in general, with real estate, with credit cards, getting real estate, like they doing underwriting processes on you to see if you qualify. So are they actually, because we're talking about savings and like having money in the savings account, right?
Yeah.
Are they actually looking at the amount of money you got in your savings account? If so, like, what do you think would be
not on the business side, because they're looking at my assets,
right?
And so, great question that you phrase it, because once you develop this relationship with the bank or banks, they see what you're doing. They just want to know you know what you're doing. I'm gonna be honest with you.
Yeah.
They wouldn't give me no money when I first started. That's why I had to use credit cards. Now, man, I get 10 texts a day like, are you working on any projects or anything we can help you with? How much funding do you need? And then you're like, man, what were these text messages when I first got in the game? You know what I'm saying? What were these emails at? Like, people literally just trying to give you money because they got to keep that money moving.
Right.
You feel me? So you asked me about these underwriting processes. This is how it works for me. My banker name is Will. There's your three most important people in your business is your banker, your accountant, and your lawyer. Why? I call my banker. Hey, man, to the T, found a house, 2 of them, got them for $260 under contract. What do I need? Well, just need you to send me over the 20%, the contract, and the leases. I already know. Tom, I'm on a close on these 2 houses. You got any availability on the 30th at 3? Yes, sir. Send us the contract. We'll pull a title, and we'll go from there. My accountant, send me the HUD when you close. Why? Because she's gonna write off all that at the end of the year.
Yeah.
The taxes. It makes So these are the most important people in your organization or in your business to make these things simple. So with the underwriting with the bank, every year they do want a PFS. They want a finance statement, your personal finance statement at the end of the year, just to see what you're doing. For a couple of years, man, I was just writing everything off so I didn't have to pay taxes. Because you can write everything off. You can write everything off up to 7 years. You know what I'm saying? But if you want to continue to grow, you can't write, you lost it, you didn't make it.
You can't write it,
money.
You can't record it.
Yeah.
I think for a Schedule C, it's like you got 5 years to report a loss.
Yeah. You're not worried about paying. I mean, if you're worried about paying $5,000-$10,000 in taxes, you ain't a business person. So it's like, all right, let me show that I made some money. I'm going to pay $10,000-$15,000 in taxes. Bank see like, oh, Lee making some money. They don't even really care how much you're making. They just need to see you making some money. That your business just ain't not making no money. You feel me? And so that's I learned, and I got a person. Again, it's all about your personal relationship. Just like even when we go into the bank, I need to speak to the personal private banking manager. Yeah. That's who you got to ask for. A lot of people go in there. I want to do this. You don't look like you know what you're talking about. When I go in that bank, I say I'm looking for the banking manager.
Yeah.
Oh, 1 second, sir. Because that ain't That ain't nobody else in there. It's usually one person.
Yeah.
That's the banking, the private banking manager.
It's funny that you brought that up too, Lee, because me, like, I'm still a baby in the game when it comes to the to put to business, and I just got an accountant for the business this year, which I'm happy with that decision. And it's funny you brought up with the reporting of the loss and them asking those questions because last year we reported a loss because we wrote off the depreciation on the vehicle, which is like, it's not like we literally lost, but it's because of the depreciating asset. And they asked us, like, that's what it was, because me and my wife, we trying to find a crib. So they asked him about that and stuff like that. It was like, well, we need a statement on this loss, and like, are you still running the business? And, are you projected that loss next year? And it's like, damn, I didn't know that was going to affect like this. So it's like, now I'm even thinking for next year if I even want to, do it the same
when
way.
it comes to buying a house, man, you almost got to know exactly what they're going to ask you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because you have to be prepared. Because they're going to hit you with some haymakers, but the more you prepare for what they're going to ask you, it's just like with the credit card. You got to know how to build your profile. You got to know what that thing needs to look like. You can literally have an 830 credit score, but if you got more than 3 inquiries, you will get denied. And people don't understand that.
Wow.
It's one wrong thing on your credit.
Wow.
I have people all the time, I only missed one payment. Well, it's 35% of your report. So it's going to drop it. And so now you look like a risk. Or people be like, I got a $300 credit card and I only got $50 on it. Well, guess what that utilization is?
Just over 30%. And now
it's the math. Remember the numbers? The numbers are the numbers, man. So if that is off, I don't care. That's why they say your credit score doesn't matter. It's the build out of your profile, And so if you don't understand that if one of those 5 factors of credit is off, you will be denied. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Man, Lee, I feel like it's so, this conversation go on and on and on. And I feel like this is going to be another conversation. So before we wrap things up, I do want to kind of get your feedback on a couple more things. The first one is, just to kind of summarize this conversation we had for the viewer, for someone that is, just starting out, what are some of the key principles of using OPM, other people's money, effectively in real estate if you're just starting out? Is it the credit cards? Is it going through to the bigger banks? We kind of got a relationship. So if you first
starting out and you want to use OPM, if you just want to use credit cards, just make sure your profile is built out from the LLC to everything being legit.
Yeah.
Right? Because one wrong thing will make you look like a risk. Right? They looking for a reason why not to give you a credit card or a line of credit. So make sure that that's in order. Right? Because again, remember I told you, if you look like you don't know what you're doing or you look desperate, that's kind of red flags. You're not a candidate. You have to look like, because even when we ask for a raise of a credit limit, we go in, we just like, hey, we really like your product, and my credit limit is too low. Versus, man, can you raise my credit limit, man? Because I need some more money. It's not very desperate.
Yeah.
Versus, hey, we really like the product, and my business is expanding, and we could use extra room on the credit card, extra limit on the credit card to continue expanding our business.
You can really ask for a credit limit increase every 3 months, every 6 months.
It depends on which credit card.
Got you.
Yeah, and it also depends on the lender, because a lot of time this is why having a mentor is great, because they already have these relationships with bankers and tell you exactly who to call and what to do, when to call, how to do it.
Right. Also, with the mentor, you can just duplicate what they doing. Get the credit cards they got.
Just run the play, bro.
Yeah.
Run the play.
Right.
Yeah.
So when you think back to the times you were in where you're making all these investments, but the money's still tied up, to now, can you recall what was the most pivotal moment? What was the piece of information or the game that you learned that kind of really like made that 180 shift for you, to where, how you said, in COVID,
being able to get funding,
getting funding,
right? Because you got to be good at one thing before you get to the other. I was good at finding deals, and you probably have some wholesalers in here. I came in the game doing wholesale deals because it was quick cash.
Yeah. That's how I met Jazz.
But guess what I was doing? I was giving away all the great deals that I should have been holding. Anybody tells me a wholesaler, I'm like, why are you selling them?
Yeah.
I'm a wholesaler. No, you're not a wholesaler. Wholesaler is something is what you do. You're not a wholesaler. It's one of the 3 exit strategies of real estate. You can either wholesale it, you can fix and flip it, or you can buy and hold. That's it.
Right.
So when anybody tell me they're wholesaler, I know you're a rookie. I just know you just a rookie. Like you just
in it for the cash grab.
You in it for the cash grab.
That's what we was in it for.
Right.
We weren't looking to keep nothing.
Which is nothing wrong with it, but I just know the conversation won't expand outside of real talk.
Right. What the deal is about, et cetera.
You know, because I'm just like, even with realtors, you sending me a house, why ain't you buying it? If it's such a great deal, why aren't you buying it? Right. That's why I don't really work with realtors like that. Unless they already have a investor mindset. And then if they do, why didn't they buy it?
Right. So you looking for an answer like, oh, it just didn't fit in my strategy right now, like, or something like that.
It better be good.
Yeah.
And most of the time, my guys who do bring me stuff, they're like, man, we got cash tied up in a bigger project. I can respect that.
Right.
But when you go, because they typically don't. Because they don't. All they're thinking is, I want to sell this and get my commission.
Yeah.
And I hate that.
Yeah.
I hate that. I understand it, but I hate it. And they call me all the time. Can we list this? I can list it myself. I can go to Pfizer and pay $300 and list this thing myself and don't have to deal with any commissions.
Yeah.
You know? So yeah, man.
Man, Lee, it's been great chopping it up with you. My head is on like it's about to explode, and I got so many other questions that I feel like I can ask you, but I got to keep this episode within the parameters, so our audience don't get analysis paralysis like we said. Yeah. So I definitely want to have an opportunity to invite you back on. Yeah. I'm gonna be having a conversation with you outside of the episode for sure. But tell our listeners where they can find you. Some exciting news you might have coming up. Some things you're excited to share. I just want to get them plugged in with you.
Yeah. You can catch me on my platform at Lee A. Patterson on Instagram. My ebooks on there. You can find all that. My course, I just revamped it. It was something that I did years ago, but it was just one of these things. I was just giving the game away for free. Yeah. But now, everything's a business, and you need to, you got to pivot. So I pivoted to a digital product, which is, again, just another way of making money without dealing with a lot of people. And this,
you got a lot of people that want the information anyways.
And I only got so much time.
So you can duplicate yourself.
Yeah, I only got so much time. Right. And again, I'm a guy that's always trying to evolve, and I also want to be very you want to use your time wisely. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And so this was the next step. So you can go to ultimatecreditfoundation.com/opt-in. To get a copy of that or my course, or even book a one-on-one call with me. But you can find me those ways. And my YouTube, I think same thing, is just Lee A. Patterson. Like you can find me anywhere. So
yeah, we'll make sure we got that link in the description so our audience can easily find that. Tell us quickly what is the ebook about? Like what is the ebook structure to help?
The ebook is basically giving you just the foundation of credit.
Gotcha.
I like to say pretty basic stuff, but it's crazy what people don't know. Yeah. And I get it. You don't know what you don't know, but it's still not an excuse. Mm-hmm. Right. And so I just went in depth and just kind of giving the breakdowns of the factors of credit, how it affects how it can affect your life, how you can actually fix it. Mm-hmm. And I think I got a few bonuses at the end of it, just of how you can probably I think make some money right away with using your credit. It's so many plays with your credit.
Got the plays in there.
Yeah, yes sir.
So it's a ebook and a playbook.
Correct. Yeah, I like
it. I like it. Okay, man. I'm digging that. Lee, I appreciate the conversation. You taking your time out on a Saturday, all the way from Athens too, to come down here. Yeah. So, I appreciate you, man. And to our listeners, I appreciate y'all for tuning in every single week, every single Monday, tapping in for these new episodes. Just do me a favor. Outside of just subscribing, if you found this game useful, I want you to actually try to apply at least one thing you took out of this episode. And once you do, go ahead and comment the one thing you plan on applying from this episode in the video so that we can hold you accountable. Yeah. Accountability is the best part about this whole community that we're building out. So with that being said, I'm your guy, Kai Speaks. You just heard from Lee Patterson. Yeah. We out.